Flores, you were first in the introduction, so the first question will be addressed to Mr. Garcia, just to be fair, okay? Mr. Garcia, according to the latest statistics, the unemployment rate in the 4th District is a little bit over 9%, way above the national average. So the question is, what would you do to make sure that business owners, small business owners, have better access to capital so they can continue creating jobs?
I think that small business plays a very important role in the life of communities like the one that we're in today, but also present on the north side and suburban communities. I think that the federal government needs to be more supportive of micro lenders and making access to credit easier. Why? Because if you look at what communities and immigrant communities throughout the 4th Congressional District have contributed to the vitality of the city and suburban communities, you will see that there is investment in business, in housing, in retail, in building a vitality that isn't seen anywhere else. That's why this community bears the name of the Mexican capital of the Midwest. It underscores immigrant vitality and contributions.
Thank you. Sergeant Gonzalez.
Yes, small businesses in the 4th Congressional District have been hurting for the last 25 years. It's time to go to Washington and bring accessible resources to people in the 4th Congressional District who want to build and bring new businesses to the 4th Congressional District. Currently, right now, there is no access to funds. Not only do we need to bring in funds to create new businesses, we need to bring a training program to ensure that those businesses are successful. It's important because of the folks that live here in the 4th Congressional District that we're able to train those people who want to start new businesses after they get those businesses starting.
Thank you. Ms. Flores?
Yeah, I have actually started a small business 15 years ago, and the experience I have is literally doing that. How do we attract capital? How do we manage budgets? How do we maintain payroll while providing the best types of services to our clients? So I understand what small business owners are going through. I've been doing it. I also understand how we were successful is because we had access to services, technical assistance that was culturally competent, that met our needs, and that met the needs of our clients. When I go to Washington, D.C., I'm going to work to create additional resources like that. And I know that our small businesses are the ones creating opportunities for jobs.
Correct? Thank you, Ms. Flores.
Next question, we'll start with Mr. Gonzalez. Congressman Gutierrez made his announcement with just 6 days left before the filing that he was not going to run for re-election. How do you feel this impacted the race and the ability for people like yourself and others to have a fair and open primary, and particularly in light of the fact that 2 candidates dropped out within the last 24 hours?
Well, first of all, I'd like for everyone to understand that I am the only candidate here that actually wanted to and decided to engage Mr. Gutierrez in this campaign. It wasn't until after his retirement that the other candidates decided to run. I took time and discussed this with my family, with friends, and was tired of the ineffectivity of Mr. Gutierrez's policies here in the 4th Congressional District. So I am the only candidate here that actually took time and decided to run for Congress, not because Mr. Gutierrez was retiring, but because I felt that there is a need in the 4th Congressional District, and I wanted to fill that need.
Ms. Flores.
I've had the opportunity to travel around the world, and I'm so proud and honored and understand the privilege it is to be an American and to live in a democracy. And so even though there was 6.5 days left, we created a groundswell. People were excited about something fresh and new in this race. We were able to mobilize people to help get my name and petitions on the ballot. And what I was hearing that weekend, when Mother Nature also agreed with us that I should be on the ballot, is I was hearing directly from voters that they were excited about someone fresh and new, someone from my gender, my generation, and most importantly, someone with my type of community experience. So I've never been afraid of a challenge. I say, let's take it on, and we did it in 4.5 days, and I'm here today. Thank you.
Mr. Garcia.
When Congressman Gutierrez made it clear to me, because I didn't believe him when he first told me that he was thinking seriously about retiring, I doubted it. We had to have several conversations before I found it something that would be challenging and meaningful to do. I decided to get into the race, and so did 7 candidates who filed for this office, there has been a pretty ample opportunity for people to run. That's why we've gone from a field of 7 to a field of 3. In the end, it's not an endorsement that will decide who the Congress or the Democratic nominee will be. It will be the vote of the people and democracy.
The next question, I'm going to start with Ms. Flores. As you know, Congressman Gutierrez has been highly criticized for putting family members in his campaign payroll. It's a practice allowed by Congress, but I do want to ask you, what needs to be done to stop politicians from manipulating the system to their advantage?
Well, you know, I, for the last 15 and a half years, have worked at a nonprofit organization that's taken public dollars and private dollars. So I am very used to audits and compliance, and most importantly, transparency with a capital T. So I'm not afraid of sharing what we do and opening our books, and I think it's incredibly important that our elected officials follow the same rules and are under the same type of scrutiny that our public servants are in the nonprofit and public sector. And so I would fight for those types of policies, that they get implemented and that there's teeth to them.
Thank you. Commissioner Garcia?
As a progressive reformer, from the first day that I decided to engage in electoral politics, I was clear that the politics I would engage in would be transparent. They would have accountability. They would let the light of day shine on everything that we do. That has been my record in Chicago City Council, as a state legislator, as a Cook County commissioner. I look down upon nepotism. I have fought for ethical standards in every one of my positions, as I have when I was a leader in the nonprofit sector and in philanthropy in Chicago. It's how you conduct yourself and how you live that matters most, and I hold that to be the most important thing in life.
Thank you. Sergeant Gonzalez?
As you mentioned earlier, it wasn't illegal what Mr. Gutierrez did, but when you take a position that you're in the public eye, it's all about perception. And people will judge you based on what they believe is going on. So if I were to become congressman, I would try very hard to talk to folks and tell them the importance of not hiring family members. At the end of the day, you need to gain the trust of the people that you're serving, and you're not going to do that if you take actions that can be borderline ethical. So I would fight in Congress and ensure that perhaps legislation is drafted so that we wouldn't be able to hire our family members. We need to remain clear with our constituents, and they need to actually trust us.